In the vast world of Marvel Comics, where mighty mutants fight for their place in the world, there are few villains as chilling as Cassandra Nova.
Lost in the darkness, consumed by envy. Cassandra Nova, born of jealousy, a shadow of power, her brother's mind. Her heart filled with darkness, a hunger for the fight.
This enigmatic foe possesses power and malice that rival even the renowned Professor X, and even though she's yet to make her debut in the beloved series X-Men 97 that we are all so in love with, get ready, because Cassandra Nova is about to unleash her twisted vision upon the MCU proper in the upcoming film Deadpool and Wolverine. So, before you see her on the big screen, let's dive into the disturbing origin story and terrifying legacy of one of the X-Men's most sinister nemesis. So I'll assume that everybody knows Professor X. He's also known as Charles Xavier, and he is a mutant, which means he was just born with special abilities. Now, in Professor X's case, he's an incredibly powerful telepath. He can read minds, project thoughts, and even control others. So Professor X pretty much uses his powers for good. He founded the X-Men, which is a team of mutants that train to use their abilities to kind of protect humanity and fight for peaceful coexistence on this shared world. He believes mutants and humans can live together, and the X-Men are his way of promoting that ideal. Also, in the strange world of Marvel Comics, there are beings known as Mumadrai. Now, imagine these are formless creatures made entirely of psychic energy. They don't belong in our physical world. Instead, they exist in a place called the astral plane. And we saw Professor X visit the astral plane in X-Men 97 when he took the Shi'ar delegates to the astral plane and took their ass to school. So, inside the astral plane is where the Mumadrai exists. Think of it as a dimension of pure thought. They are completely alien to our understanding. They think, they feel, but they don't have a physical form. They don't have any bodies. These strange entities play a key role in understanding Cassandra Nova because she began life as one such creature. And the concept of the Mumadrai gets even stranger. According to some alien races in the Marvel Universe, every single living being has a Mumadrai counterpart. Think of it as your shadow self, a dark reflection that exists only in the astral plane. So it's believed that before a person is even born, they must first fight an intense psychic battle with their own Mumadrai. Most people wouldn't even remember fighting this battle, but this struggle is a natural part of being born. In very rare cases, the Mumadrai can actually overpower and defeat its counterpart. Now, this can lead to the Mumadrai stealing the developing baby's potential and even using it to build a physical body, which is a horrifying way to enter the world. So that's the disturbing origin of Cassandra Nova. She wasn't some ordinary evil twin. She started her life as the Mumadrai of Charles Xavier. And then through sheer power and malice, she took on a form of her own. So in the womb, Cassandra, as the Mumadrai, became aware of Charles Xavier. So sensing his immense power and the fact that he would probably use his power for good, she got jealous and really hateful. She initiated a psychic or telepathic attack on Charles Xavier. Now, baby Charles is not fully formed at this point, but he was incredibly strong for a developing mutant, was struggling to survive, and instinct kicks in and he unleashed a raw psychic blast at Cassandra. And this wasn't just a defense, it caused such a shock to their mother that she miscarried. And in this miscarriage, Cassandra was stillborn and Charles survived. And he retained the memory of the struggle that would shape his future path. Now, Charles, of course, I wouldn't call what he did murder. He was acting in self-defense in the womb. And even as an unborn infant, we see how strong Professor X was, that he had a strong moral code before he even came out the womb. He already had what makes him a hero. The key to Cassandra surviving outside the womb without a physical body seems to be, like I said before, the sheer force of her will. Even though her Mumadrai form was defeated by Charles, she had such hatred, and her power, her desire for power, was so strong that they lingered on in the astral plane. Some theories even suggest that Cassandra may have latched on to stray psychic energy in the astral plane, feeding off of it to maintain some semblance of existence. And you can imagine like this being a parasite that was just clinging to the life force that is sustaining it. That's what Cassandra Nova basically is. And over a long, unknown period, Cassandra slowly built up her power. This could have involved like absorbing stray thoughts, manipulating psychic energies off of the astral plane, or even slowly consuming weaker Mamudrai. But anywho, eventually, she became strong enough to exert her will on the physical world. She's been shown hijacking the body of a young mutant, essentially possessing it and transforming it into an adult form, which resembles Charles Xavier, except that it is extremely twisted. It's extremely twisted resemblance to Charles Xavier. Now, the exact process is mysterious, and it adds to Cassandra Nova's mystique. There are parts or points in the comic book where the remains of the stillbirth were thrown into like a sewer or something like that, and that she just manifested a body out of sheer will out of that sewer. So it just depends on how you look at it. But either way, it's a very disgusting way for her to enter the conversation. And it also explains that even though Charles Xavier has a strong goodwill, the power of his will is good, Cassandra has a dark power, making her probably one of the most formidable foes that Charles will ever face. So Charles Xavier dreams of harmony, but Cassandra Nova craves a world where mutants reign supreme, and anyone who stands in her way will be crushed. Okay, so boom, Cassandra Nova gets a body, and now she's on a mission. And her villainy reaches a horrifying peak with the Genosha massacre. This wasn't just a battle, it was systematic extermination. Now, we've seen what the Genosha massacre looks like in X-Men 97, but let me tell you, I think they glossed over it a bit because that is a heavy concept to convey in animation, because in the Marvel Comics version of the battle with Genosha, Cassandra gained control over the Sentinels. And these weren't just robot soldiers, they were like technologically advanced hunters designed to obliterate all of mutant kind. Now, the attack on Genosha was relentless, a wave of destruction decimating the entire island of Genosha. No corner of the island was safe. Millions of lives were extinguished. Families, children, entire communities gone. Now, what we saw in X-Men 97 was really bad. In the comics, it went a different way, but it all is going to lead to pretty much the same outcome. Now, in X-Men 97, you have this situation going on without the leadership of Professor X. We know that he, quote unquote, passed away, and he was really living among the Shi'ar, and he and Lilandra were actually planning to get married. Anywho, the act of the genocide at Genosha wasn't just about violence. See, Cassandra intended to crush the hope and spirit of mutant kind. Her goal was to show the world the price of resisting her twisted vision of supremacy. She is a mutant supremacist. And it makes me think, because of course these two entities, Charles and Cassandra, they both started off in the same place, right? They both started off with the same mother. They're in the same womb. And it makes me think of nature versus nurture. It's a philosophical thought that has been a debate for centuries. It makes me wonder, are we shaped by our biology and genetics, by our nature, or by the environment and experiences that we have, by nurture? And I am a big nurture girl. I know that there are some things that are just in our nature, but our environment really can just bring out the best or worst of a person. Cassandra Nova's existence also throws a wrench into this traditional debate. Her story suggests that there might be something else influencing who we become, something more primal and potentially evil that is just a part of a person's nature. So that's a pretty good introduction to Cassandra Nova. I guess her twisted beginnings and then the ruthless acts of genocide, they make for incredible comic book material. But might her backstory be a little too complex, too intense for the MCU with its Disney connections and the broader audience of the MCU? Will Marvel have to simplify her origins in Deadpool and Wolverine to make her more palatable or approachable? Or will they just embrace the darkness that makes Cassandra Nova a unique and terrifying villain? Only time will tell, but I have my opinions, and I think that even though this is an R-rated Disney MCU movie, I honestly can't see them going there. This just seems a little too graphic for Disney sensibilities. I will be shocked if I am wrong. So that's what I think. I think it's just a little too heavy, and I think we might be seeing a change in her origin story. I would be very happy if they went down that path, though, because it would be a commitment to showing that we'll be getting more mature storytelling in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies with these R-rated entries. And I hope we get more R-rated entries. It's not just enough for a movie to be R-rated. The story has to be great, among other things, and it has to make complete sense within the universe. If the MCU nails that, I would be happy to see more R-rated fare and also these crazy and complicated storylines. But who cares what I think? Tell me what you think. Do you think they're going to have to change Cassandra Nova's backstory in order to make it more acceptable to a general audience in the MCU? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and while you're there, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications so you know when we do our live streams. I would like for you guys to join us. So, make your comments, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, look at my patrons. I love them. Thank you, patrons. And tell me, if you knew the Cassandra Nova backstory, or was this all news to you? Let me know all of that down in the comments. And yeah, thanks for joining me again for another episode of After the Snap, and I will see you in the next one.